Damien's fighting the world, and he's trying to hurt people.
I vouch for you. You think you mad? Try spending half your life in a cell. Watching somebody else live your life. I'm coming for everything. You threatening me?
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Fandango first interview with the cast and filmmakers of Creed 3. Michael, Tessa, Jonathan, welcome. I have to start with you, Michael, on this one. I have to say, it's obviously the continuation of everything that you've done with Adonis Creed, but also, you know, back as an actor, more importantly, a child actor, to now starring and directing in your directorial debut. What was it? Why this story? Why now? This is not the first time I'm sure somebody's asked, you know, if or when.
Yeah, child actor to now. Yeah, it just kind of took me back. I was like, we've been doing it for so long.
Deep, bro.
I think, honestly, all roads of my personal and professional life kind of led to this moment. You know, I think every set that I've been on, every director that I had an opportunity to work with, you know, other actor that I had an opportunity to share that space with, kind of led me to this moment to have a perspective and to tell a story about a character that I know very well. And so it's funny you said from child actor to now. You know, I played Adonis for 8 years, and I've actually grown up with him. Yeah. So each movie is kind of like a checkpoint at my personal life, you know, and what I have to kind of offer to the character as well. So this is kind of like, you know, the latest update of, you know, MBJ and Adonis all in one. So it was the perfect timing.
Yeah, very big moment. Glad to be a part of it, too.
Yes, ma'am.
And Tessa, there's, you know, these two are a part of, everyone has been a part of it, but you've been literally on this journey since, you know, test screenings and, you know, script read, chemistry tests and such. Yeah. But being on that journey with him through this, coming back to it with Bianca, what was different? What were you looking forward? And what did you see with him now behind the director, in the director's chair, that you haven't even seen before, even though you guys have been on this journey together?
Yeah, so much, you know, as Mike just kind of alluded to, it does feel, even though we were technically adults when we started making this film, it feels like we've grown up in some ways playing these characters, and certainly every time we're back, I think there's a moment we both look at each other and we're like, whoa, you know, and we're back here again, and also we're back here as new people because we've always grown and changed and shifted, and so much has typically happened for us in between. So there is a thing about, I don't know, something about making these films feels like you write a postcard to yourself from this time, you know? And I think something for me that felt tremendous on this one is to get to look at my very dear friend, someone I love very much, do something that is a leap for them, and also something that, as Mike said, has been preparing to do for so much of his life. And so getting to see that, and to be able to support him in that, it feels like I get to do what Bianca also does in these films, which is just support her partner in being the fullest expression of who he is. And it was just a gift to get to do that to someone who I love very dearly.
Man, it's funny. That's
so sweet.
That's
so sweet.
It's funny that you say that it's a gift. I will say, when I first heard, they're like, we're gonna give y'all a couple more weeks before you see it. It didn't feel like a gift to me. I was mad. I was expecting to see y'all with my mom at this time, but I'm glad that they did, because one of the gifts that time gave us is more time to learn a little bit more about what your character's gonna bring in like interviews and such. And I really loved what you sort of alluded to in some of your early interviews, is, you know, when Mike called you with the pitch and how you guys really talked about the character early on and what he knew you wanted to bring to this role. So just tell me about those first conversations, because what you brought to it, I can't wait for folks to see. It's incredible.
Oh, it's deep. Those first conversations, I mean, I feel like we're still having that conversation, you know? I mean, the three of us, the chemistry is real. Our chemistry began, I mean, I was in Savannah, Georgia on a FaceTime call, and I was just blown away as a member of the industry and as a member of the culture to say, oh wait, who wants to talk to me? You know what I mean? And they're like, Michael B. Jordan wants to have a conversation with you. I was like, am I in trouble? You know what I mean? If I mess something up, you know? In
the best way possible, you messed up.
I mean, that's the confidence that Mike gave in that phone call. That I remember he said, it's so odd for me to say, he said, you know, if we got a Ferrari, you're gonna let the Ferrari go.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
You gotta drive the Ferrari.
Yeah, that's what he said. You gotta drive the Ferrari. And I went, one, I'm in love because you just called me a Ferrari. So I'm with that, you know. And two, just the humility.
At this point, I can't go any further without go ahead and jumping into this story because I want to let folks know I got a little sample, just a tiny little sample. They didn't let me eat the whole meal. Got a couple rounds.
Okay.
So I'm just gonna ask you this, Mike. Coming into this, you had the task of directorial debut, but then you decided to just do bigger with being one of the first sports movies to shoot in IMAX. And I've seen some of these fight scenes, and after what Ryan and Steven did.
The first or one of the first? Sorry.
Yeah.
First.
The first?
Yeah.
First. It is the first.
That was
No,
real.
say it again.
Real
Real time.
Congratulations!
The movie feels like it's in IMAX without it being in IMAX, so I don't even know. I've seen it non-IMAX, and it felt maxy.
Yeah.
Felt maxi to be.
Yeah, really maxy. I can't imagine. Wow.
So talk about that. Those cameras, that is a daunting task to really space it out like that, again, in your first film.
You know, the funny thing is, it didn't look like a daunting task to me. It was, in my mind, the only way I could have done it. Being kind of backed into a corner of being the last installment, you know, or not last, but the latest, you know what I'm saying, installment of, you know, this franchise, that all the Rocky films, all the Creed films before this, they've shot punches a million different ways. How do we do something different? You know, it kind of forced me to be a little bit more creative and to think outside the box and pull inspiration from different cinematic kind of areas. So having a fight in IMAX, being able to really feel like you're in the ring with the fighters is something that was a challenge that I wanted to see if we can pull it off. And the only way to do that was with IMAX cameras. So we were lucky enough to collaborate with them, and they made it, you know, accessible in a way that we got the job done.
Is it just for the fight scenes?
Just for the fight stuff.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, so the fight stuff, the walkouts, you know, we have, you know, certain moments where you actually see the frame open up and you really get a chance to walk into this world with our sound design and, you know, just everything that we have going around. We were very deliberate and intentional with the IMAX experience for both.
Does it change the way that it looks even when it's not in IMAX? If you're not watching it in IMAX, does that make sense?
Well, there is moments where it goes back and forth between 190 and 240, so it's like it goes back and forth, and I think that's
you hear my man talking
that's
that director
that's
talk?
the fun part.
I want to talk
director
about
talk?
craft.
Talking that
This is a
director
black
talk?
movie, but we're going to talk about craft. Like, I'm talking about it. Let him talk about it.
Yeah, because
but it's not
looked
distracting.
I didn't see it in IMAX, but it looks, there's something about the quality of the fight scenes that look really different than what we've
Anything
done before.
Yeah.
Does that have to do with it?
That's Iron Man. Also, I really want to thank you for the assist on my job. Like, you were literally doing a better job. I love it.
I'm just really,
Two of y'all,
No,
listen.
I mean, but this is that begs the question because you're right. It is extraordinary. You've been on a ton of sets. That's not something that they normally do to invest that much time. The other thing I really loved about this one is seeing you two. I got to see y'all settled together as a couple. And what I loved about that particularly is how settled you were, was that this man is just the ultimate fly in the ointment. He is such a disruptive force. What was it like bringing that disruption into sort of, you know, Adonis and Bianca's world?
Oh, interesting. I mean, I think the thing that's always been, in my estimation, really aspirational about Adonis and Bianca as a couple, Adonis and Bianca, Biancas.
Bianca's. Ship it.
Adanka.
Bianca's, it sounds, I would Bianca's than Adanka.
I like Adanka. You don't like it? Okay, anyways. What's cool about these two, I think, is you get to see them, they feel to me like a real couple in the sense that they have their issues. They have things that they need to talk about. And I think as much as you hope to know your partner and you get to know them over many years of being together, there are always things about another person that remain a mystery to you. And I think what you get to see in them in this installment is them have to navigate that. Because he can't be fully transparent about who he is if he doesn't know fully who he is. And there's a part of his past that he hasn't contended with yet. And Dame's reappearance gives him the opportunity and the challenge of having to do that. And you get to see them figure out how to do that together, and I think that that's a really sweet thing. It's so nice to have a successful relationship captured on screen.
It really is.
And it was quite easy to disrupt because it was so it's so harmonious.
Yeah.
You know, when Dame walks in, I saw them, the actors and the characters. The space between was invisible. There was no action cut, go. The way they moved, the way Tessa was supporting Michael, and the way Bianca was supporting Adonis, I could see that. You know, and being the new guy on the set and in the family, you know, it was so easy to see. Okay, that's real love. Yeah. I can really get in there and try to do something to it. So it was their relationship and all the work they've done and their friendship and all in chemistry on and off screen was a huge gift to the entire franchise, but definitely to me and my process to get in there.
I was just going to add too, it's interesting that you say that this film was the culmination of everything you've done to get to here, because there's recent work by both of you that I think we can very much see in what we see on screen with Damien, in the sense that, yes, he's the antagonist in this, but the humanity that both your performance and what was written about him has is exceptional. Like, it really is one of those things. It's another one of those, like, I don't agree with him, but I understand situations, as we also, as we all come across. But talk about how you and Mike worked on humanizing him as the antagonist through this, because I know that was a huge part of what you wanted to do with the character.
Damien is a collaboration. His name changed when we got together. His last name is my maternal grandfather's last name. Mike allowed that to come in. So what we ended up doing was implicating ourselves in the creation of this character. Implicating our ancestors, implicating black men, black masculinity, and so we got to really evaluate and examine that. And I think our goal was to bring a real human being to the screen in order to have a real relationship between the two. Yeah.
It was two sides of the conversation. We needed both sides of those conversations. We want to put a mirror up to our audience and to each other and challenge the way we think and the way we look at each other, that sense of identity, that brotherhood and bond, and
And always take the hard way. I mean, that was the other thing, right? Because I mean, Michael has done incredible work in his career and incredible work in the film. There's a certain level of he has a high standard. I have a high standard. And so we go, okay, we're making this guy. We're actually collaborating and competing to figure out how to contribute the most to making this. You know what I mean? And the beauty of it is we've got the lead of our film and the director. So the director's backing me up, right? The actor, I'm trying to take his head off, right? But the director, I'm like, yeah, bro, let's go. You know what I mean?
As he said, the Ferrari.
Yeah.
The Ferrari's got to run.
So we had yeah.
It's so great that you talk about freedom, because I would imagine with your relationship that freedom is built with trust, but it's so refreshing to hear that everybody who came onto this journey with you got to experience that level of freedom. But I know on this one, you got more freedom again. You've lived in this character, I mean, almost as much as, I'm not going to mention her, but you know who I'm talking about. You know what I mean? Like, you've gotten to live in this character on screen.
I'm gonna mention her.
There you go.
So much.
I mean, I may mention Billy from Cold Case, and we'll really go back.
Oh my God.
Anyway,
vintage.
no. But you got to improvise on this one. You really got to, we read that you got to have more, takes with Bianca and sort of showing, especially in motherhood.
That's always been a real pleasure of playing this character from the beginning. I mean, the Bianca that we see in Creed 1 was really, we'd do rehearsals and Ryan would have sometimes like just record us ad-libbing, and then it would end up in the screenplay. Yeah. We've always worked really actively from the script process to development. There's so many stuff that Bianca literally wears that I went and shopped. I mean, I remember the first idea of her was a picture that Ryan Coogler had taken of a girl on the train in Philadelphia, and we were like, how do we find this girl? And then it was a process of doing that. And so to get to continue to do that, I think what felt very nice in this process, especially, is early on, Mike being like, hey, like, sit with the writers and let's figure this out. And he's always, there's a tremendous amount of trust that he put with me to be able to work through the dialogue and figure out this woman and who she is at this juncture in her trajectory, which is really exciting work to get to do. And then also just the kind of work that you get to do just on set. I think there's a real shorthand between us that, yes, is earned by years, but there's a rare thing that happens occasionally when you have that sort of immediacy with a person, which I think we always have had, which has just been a great thing for us in this journey.
Thank you all so much. And I want to remind everyone that tickets for Creed 3 are on sale now.